Hey, you're watching HuffPost Live. I'm Mark Lamont Hill. He's been a world-renowned DJ and music producer for over 20 years. And now, Trance superstar Paul van Dyk is taking his music out on tour. This Saturday, he'll be headlining a show at the Hammerstein Ballroom right here in New York City. And he joins us now to discuss the tour and his upcoming show. Good to see you, man.
Hello. Hi.
Talk to me about what it means to be, in this business for 20 years. You've gotten every honor, every accolade. You've been named #1 DJ of all time. You sold literally 5-6 million records. What does it mean to have that sort of status?
Well, the thing is, obviously, things have changed a lot. When I started, the DJ was the freak in the corner while other people had fun. So it really, from a small subculture, developed into probably the biggest music culture in the world. And I'm just really happy to be part of it, to have had the chance of making music throughout these years and find my audience, on a global scale.
Well, that's the other piece of this. When I meet some of the big sort of epic DJs right now who are hot at the moment, including you, they have these international audiences. In some ways, the DJs have more international following sometimes than the other artists and the other dimensions of these music cultures. Why has that happened? Why has the international dimension expanded so quickly?
I think, well, one thing is, of course, people that sort of know electronic music, they also, they're very active with the social media. So it's everybody is connected. The other thing is as well, the general character of this music is it's very open. It almost invites you, the energy, the power, the good feel to it. And so this is why so many people love it. And this is why it doesn't matter where you come from, what God you believe in or what citizenship you have. It's about being, respectful to each other and have a great time.
That's exactly right. I listen to your music all the time, and I follow you on Twitter. You have 1.1 million followers, and I look at the people who respond to you, and they're from every corner of the world. What is it about the music that connects with them? Is it the energy? Is it because you piece together all sorts of different styles and traditions. What is it that you think does it for people?
I really think it is the generic of the music, basically. It is very energetic, so people really enjoy to actually dance, to have a great time. Yeah. And then again, it's you can find yourself in it. It's almost something's everybody feels something different about the individual tracks. So therefore, it becomes their own almost.
Yeah. What's your process like when you think about performing a set? First performing a set, and then we'll talk about albums in a second. But when you talk about performing a set or moving a crowd, what's your approach? What's your method?
Well, the thing is, the way how I play is I almost have a recording studio on stage with keyboards and all sorts of stuff. So that enables me to be really interactive. And on one hand, I have a very clear idea about what I want to do musically, and everything else is always down to the interaction. You just feel if you're on the right path, and then you turn it around. And it's to me, it doesn't feel like I'm the dude on stage or something. It's I'm just as passionate about the music as my audience. So if it wouldn't be on stage, I probably would be down there jumping up and down. So it's almost just generating something that I would like to, and I think that comes across.
Are there nights where it's hard to do that?
I'm sorry?
Are there nights where it's difficult to do that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, sometimes, when the flights are really late and you haven't even had a shower, you just run on stage. It's not always so easy to to start, to get into it. Yeah. But then again, it's I'm really, really lucky and happy about it too, that my audience is very responsive and they're amazing people, and they, if I have a downer, they keep me going.
That's a great thing, man. You were literally named the #1 DJ of all time. When you get an honor like that, obviously it gives you some perspective of where you stand among your peers. But who else do you think is in that tier with you? Who else do you see as the elite people?
I don't really look at it in that way. It's when I was listed #1 DJ of the world, I always said wouldn't be #1 without #100. We're all in it together. It's about the music. This is sort of my main point. And if my passion and the way how I play connects to the people in a way that they think I'm their favorite. Yeah. That's the best thing in the world, but that's not sort of how I look at it. So it's everybody who very passionately does what they're doing is a top DJ.
We have comments coming in. Phil Otolatano says, my son is 12 and really into Paul's music and wants to be a DJ like him. I'd like to know some of his influence, who some of his influences were growing up, so maybe I can expose my son to the same.
Well, it's very different because obviously I grew up in East Germany, so I couldn't go to any record stores or read anything about my favorite artists. So my musical sort of first education came through the radio, and it was guitar bands basically, the Smiths or early stuff like New Order. And a little later it became electronic music. And it is just, there's so much great music out there, and I think it's whatever you are passionate about, this is what you should play to your son.
No, that's a good answer. And talk to me about your development into the DJ world. How does that come about? How does a kid who's listening to the Smiths one day, find himself, an electronic dance DJ later on?
Well, the thing is, as I said, I was always listening to the radio, and this is when I got in contact with the stuff that we probably would call early house music. Yeah. And from then on, I started, following that music. And when the Berlin Wall went down, I went to all the clubs. It was like really exciting times. And I started buying records, making tapes for myself and some friends. I never really wanted to be a DJ. I just did it because, it felt right. And then a friend of mine actually passed one of those mixtapes on to a promoter. And this is how I got my first booking. Wow. And obviously after I did that, I knew, okay, I want to do this. And I gave everything for it.
And you've been doing it. And now it comes full circle now, 20 years later. You're able to fill up ballrooms. You're able to travel around the world. You have a tour right now that you're beginning. What do you plan to do on this tour?
Well, obviously the new album is going to come out soon. It's called Politics of Dancing 3. And, it's like presenting this new music. It's an album with a lot of fantastic collaboration artists that I bring with me on tour as well.
Like who?
Well, it's like they're all part of the electronic scene. It's like, someone like Martin de Jong, Alex Morv, many more. Some others like bigger names as well. Established artists, young up-and-coming producers. It's about sort of, making music with people that you really sort of enjoy making music with. It's not so much about picking the next up-and-coming pop star for the top 40 radios. My ambition is more actually creating something that lasts longer than 3 minutes on the radio.
Is it tempting though to kind of chase that next big pop hit, that next big pop artist?
And not to me at all. The thing is, you have to understand sort of my approach to electronic music really comes from that, being the geek in the corner thing. This is how I started. And that passion about the music, that drive, it's more about creating the next interesting sound and a piece of music that kind of really moves. Yeah. Rather than something that is an immediate sort of catchy thing for, the regular radio listener.
Boring File Clerk writes in, he has two questions. One we've sort of spoken to about your major influences, but the second part of the question is, where do you see the future of DJing going?
Well, the thing is obviously electronic music to me is the best music in the world, and it's very inspiring, obviously, to a lot of other people as well. And so I think this is going to stay. In terms of DJing, there's so many different technical possibilities now. As I explained before, it's like I almost have a recording studio on stage playing. Others just use a CD player. Others are still using vinyl. I still think over the years you will see who's kind of, let's say, the one-hit wonder of electronic music and who has more of a substance and is going to still be a DJ in 10 years. Does
the local culture of DJing get smaller as we see the rise of the celebrity and superstar DJ, and as we see local vinyl culture turn into digital, equipment and things like that? Does that local home, because I still think of old school, a guy with two turntables. Is that going to disappear? That gritty, organic DJing?
Well, it doesn't disappear in, let's say, my surrounding, because we always make sure we have local support. We we have a record label as well, Vended Records. We constantly release music that we actually really enjoy. It's even of people that nobody really heard of before. It's about the music, and it's about also I've been really lucky, as I said. It's about giving back to the scene that enables me to travel around the world and that enables me to make my music.
Wow. Well, we're excited that you're making music and that you've been doing it for so long. We're excited about the tour, and we're going to make sure you're here at Hammerstein Ballroom. He'll be headlining a show this Saturday, February 15th, at Hammerstein Ballroom right here in New York City. If you want to learn more about the show and other upcoming tour dates, make sure you check out our resource well below. Brother, always good to see you.
Thank you.